Hey everyone, it's Andrew and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm comparing the iPhone 13 Pro to the iPhone 14 Pro. I'll talk about specs, features, slight nuances between the devices, my experience having had them both, and at the end I'll share with you which one I would go with if I was choosing to buy one of these today. If you're really wanting to get into the nitty-gritty specs of these devices, I will provide a link so you can look at that as well. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm currently giving away a brand new pair of AirPods Pro 2, and to enter the contest, all you have to do is subscribe by December 23rd, and that's it. I'll be selecting a subscriber at random and announcing the winner at 12 p.m. on Christmas Eve. The iPhone 13 Pro comes in at 5.78 inches in height, 2.82 inches in width, and 0.3 inches in depth. While the iPhone 14 is almost the exact same, it is slightly different. It's 5.81 inches in height, 2.81 inches wide, and 0.31 inches in depth. When it comes to weight, the iPhone 13 is 7.19 ounces and the 14 Pro is 7.27 ounces. In hand, the feeling is almost identical. There isn't a SIM tray on the 14 Pro, so you have to use eSIM, but don't worry, the process is really simple. The cameras also on the 14 Pro are a lot bigger as well. Both phones have the same Super Retina XDR display with ProMotion at 120Hz refresh rate. The screen size is also the same at 6.1 inches. The iPhone 14 Pro does have two huge changes with the display. The first being the dynamic island instead of the notch, which we've seen for the last few generations. It's a really cool feature and it takes on a life of its own. I really enjoyed it, and the other major difference is that the 14 Pro has the always on display. All you can see are your widgets and the time, and all the other pixels are turned off, so you kind of get that always on display. One other notable change is the iPhone 14 Pro has 1600 nits peak brightness and 2000 nits peak brightness outdoors. On the 13 Pro, you only get emergency SOS, which is great, but added to that with the 14 Pro, it has emergency SOS via satellite. You also get car crash detection. And these features aren't talked about quite enough because they're not going to be used too often, but they're really good features. For the camera, you have some bigger differences as well. Both are using a Pro camera system, having the 13 Pro using a 12 megapixel main ultra wide and telephoto lens, whereas the 14 Pro is using a 48 megapixel main ultra wide and telephoto lens. The front camera is better on the 14 Pro as well and now has autofocus, and selfies are a lot better to take as well. And the 14 Pro also introduces the photonic engine, which brings more detail and color to your pictures. On the 14, there's the added 2x optical zoom. In short though, both phones are going to take amazing pictures and you can't really go wrong with either. For video recording on the 14 Pro, you do get a new feature called action mode, which makes your videos more smooth in shaky situations, but I haven't used it yet. And also on the 14 Pro, you get 4K recording in cinematic mode, which is cool, and I've used it quite a bit for the channel. For battery, you're supposed to have 22 hours video playback on the 13 Pro and 23 hours for the 14 Pro. So the claim is that the 14 Pro is slightly better in battery than the 13 Pro, and my experience just hasn't been that great. The 14 Pro's battery isn't very good, and I've never noticed the battery in an iPhone as much as I have with the 14 Pro. It's kind of a letdown, and I hope Apple updates the iOS so that it is fixed. I will say always on display is probably contributing to this, but in my memory, the 13 Pro's battery was just better. The chips are different as well. The 13 Pro has the A15 Bionic chip, and the 14 Pro has an A16 Bionic chip. To me though, there's really not much difference in my opinion. I don't play games on my phone, so in that aspect, I'm not a good resource, but watching 4K or YouTube videos seems fine and seems the same to me. Now, there are a few notable things that are exactly the same that I do want to call out. Both have Face ID, of course, 5G, ceramic shield, same stainless steel and water resistance. Both devices support MagSafe, but just so you know, the cases of the 13 Pro will not fit on the 14 Pro, unfortunately. Thankfully though, a lot of the accessories that I already had, like the wallet, the charger, the MagSafe battery pack, are all compatible with the 14 Pro. I really enjoyed having the 13 Pro last year. I came from the 11 Pro and it did feel like a huge upgrade for me. The display, ProMotion, 5G, and the build of the device, it was just really significant for me. The 14 Pro wasn't a huge upgrade for me in terms of like this feeling like, wow, a brand new device and way better phone. It isn't, but I will say that the 14 Pro is a more refined version of the 13 Pro with nice additional features both physically and under the hood. Right now, you can buy the iPhone 13 Pro at Best Buy as low as $899, and the iPhone 14 Pro is $999 on Apple's website. Of course, considering the lowest storage. Now, there could be a really good deal with a carrier, but it's going to be about a $100 difference, give or take. Since these devices are so close in power and looks, the question you really have to ask yourself is all the new stuff on the 14 Pro worth that $100? So you have Dynamic Island, always on display, camera improvements, emergency SOS with satellite, car crash detection, slight updates to the display, and anything else I said earlier in the video. So if I was deciding today to buy the iPhone 13 Pro or the 14 Pro based on everything I presented, I would 100% go with the 14 Pro because it is a better phone. Now, if you don't think the new features are worth it, especially something like the always on display, then go with the 13 Pro. There's no shame in getting the last year model. The phone is still perfect. It's still a great phone. And I personally have enjoyed both phones. Now, if you're on the 13 Pro already, I wouldn't upgrade. There's been some really cool stuff coming out recently about the iPhone 15 and some of the details about this potential iPhone 15 Ultra. So don't upgrade like I did. Keep your 13 Pro and upgrade next year. Alright everyone, so that was my iPhone 13 Pro versus iPhone 14 Pro. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a comparison video with another iPhone. And don't forget to subscribe for the AirPods. Thanks for watching, God bless, and I will see you on the next video.